So for those of you guys who have not been around for a map talk, the whole purpose of this is to help you guys understand generally your initial positions on a map in clan battles, and I'll talk through. He's a great gamer cat, yes, Viper. I'll talk through like where you generally want to put certain types of ships. Now this is general. This isn't like where you know where you always go. But in general, this is where I think works. And Toxic and the others, you guys, please feel free to chime in as well with your opinions. But we always start on the North spawn. We'll talk about destroyers, cruisers, and then battleships. So north, on the north side, and the south is relatively the same too. You will almost always have destroyers splitting. If you come with two destroyers, one destroyer goes to A, one destroyer goes to C. The A cap destroyer is very simple. You get in the cap, you take the cap, and then you have to decide where you want to go from there. You've got two options in my opinion. Option one, which is a bit risky, is to go mid. This will provide your team, in theory, with vision on ships that are transiting to the Charlie cap, which might give your battleships and to a certain extent cruisers opportunities to hit them that they wouldn't otherwise have, and would also spot ships that are coming into the Bravo cap, which again could give you the ability to do some resets on that sort of thing. Hey Coughlin, take care. So I hope you're okay, man. Feel free to talk later if you want to chat. Just reach out to me. All right. What we see a lot of destroyers typically do though is they'll continue working this way. They'll dump torps in this channel, the four-line channel, and then they'll continue scouting off towards this direction. Much like how, if you were watching me play ranked earlier, the Smallland and the Smallland, that's how I played it, and then the Kleber on the enemy team did the same thing. Now, in my opinion, if you're playing destroyer, going to the A cap is probably the easiest to start off with. Because you're probably not going to run into danger that early. You can take your time, you can set up, you can luck chuck torps, maybe get lucky there or something like that. Hello, Optimus. Stream's going well, thank you very much. And Coughlin's just sleepy, understandable. Now, the Charlie cap is the much more difficult cap to play as a destroyer. And the reason for that is because as you come in, most likely the enemy team, we'll talk about it in a moment, but most likely the enemy team's going to bring a radar cruiser or two. And so the decision to go into C cap early is a very risky decision. If you're in a speedy boy French destroyer like a Kleber, you could engine boost and get to the quote-unquote safe island here. Right? Because now you can't be shot while you're radared and stuff like that. The difficulty of that is getting trapped. It's very easy to get stuck here, and then you can't get out. The other thing that you can try doing as a destroyer is butt reverse games. So you get to the northern part here. Actually, I would probably go a little bit more like that. Reverse in with your butt. If you get radar detected or something like that, move forward fast with engine boost and try to get behind probably this island for cover. But basically, whatever destroyers at sea, you're going to be playing a lot of island games and stuff, or reverse games and stuff like that on either side. So destroyers that do well here are destroyers that are armed with hydroacoustic search or radar, because you can spot the enemy destroyers and stuff like that, or cruisers, and ships that have a heal, because you're probably going to get shot at a lot. So having a heal will help you sustain your life that much longer. So you can do that. Alternately, I have seen destroyers that like to go down the 9 line. You can do this too. This is the alternate way into sea. You work your way down the 9 line, get over to sea, come in through the channel when you know it's safe-ish, and then you bow into the safe island here. Which makes your exits probably a little bit trickier. But the nice thing about going that way is if there's an enemy destroyer that's mimicking the idea of I'm going to go dive the safe island right here, and that destroyer is radared, probably sitting here so that the island blocks everything. If you look to the channel, it's completely open. So I have seen a lot of destroyers that will do that. They'll go wide. We saw this in clan battles too. Or not clan battles, King of the Sea. Okay, Stevie wants off. We saw this also in King of the Sea. A lot of destroyers will like to go the longer way out here, just to make sure, you know, that it's safe to do so. Okay, let's get back to that. So that's general destroyer deployment. If you've got 3 destroyers, typically you'll put your second destroyer at sea to help out. Excuse me, because for the most part, what's happening at sea is really the bigger deal. For the most part. And the south spawn is pretty much the same too. Cruiser-wise, oh my god, there's a lot to talk about on this map for cruisers. Oh my goodness. All right, if you're in a kitey cruiser like Napoli, Venezia, Henri, Zhao, then obviously you're going to go to the 910 line or you're going to go to the 1-2 line, right? You're going to go for the flanks. That's pretty much obvious. If you're in a radar cruiser, there's a lot of places that you can go. I actually like this spot here for a Moskva, Stalingrad. This is kind of nice because you can control who can shoot at you from the left side, and then you can reverse and go down the channel if you need to, or down the 9 line. The big thing is you need to be thinking about having an angle on what we typically would put a Des Moines or Salem. And that's going to be on this part of the island. You're going to throw a radar cruiser here, and you'll typically see the enemy throwing a radar cruiser like a Des Moines or Salem over here. Because, I mean, your radar controls all of CCAP. It's a very powerful position. So you can see right there, you want to position a cruiser on the opposite side here that can arc shells over and can hit the quote-unquote Des Moines Salem safe spot. So, you know, if I'm playing an Henri or a Venezia or, well, I guess a Hindenburg could work too. Generally speaking, I'm going to put my cruiser as far over like this as I can so that I can arc shells up and over and I can hit those cruisers at the safe spot. So, you know, that's generally what I would do. And you know, it's an attrition battle essentially. You're just trying to get, you're just trying to knock out that radar cruiser over there as quickly as possible. Another really strong radar position on the north side is this island right here, and to the south, and the south side is about the same. I like this spot because that gigantic rock up there blocks a lot of shells. You can play back and forth games. You're within 12 kilometers of the cap, so you can radar it. So this is a really good place for a Stalingrad or Moskva as well. Maybe a Petro. I've also seen radar cruisers posting up over here, although because there's no cap directly in front, we don't see radar cruisers as often over there. In clan battles, at least. In randoms, you see them all the time over there. And then this spot here is a very risky spot to play because you can be cross-shot from enemies south at C cap or enemies south at B cap. So
I tabbed back in. I'm like, I know where he's talking about, and I was wrong.
it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. I've seen spammy boats go here. So Minotaur, Worcester, you can do it. You're going to be playing a lot of back and forth games. To try to, you know, dodge shells and juke stuff, but it's a risk. Let's just call it what it is. It's a risk to play here. But a good Des Moines tucked in like right here is very hard to kill, and can support a push down the side of the map. I think I covered cruisers for the most part. Battleships. Please, I always talk about this. Please don't put your battleships together. I always like to see a battleship going like Charlie 5 early on, you have really good angles on anything at sea. You can shoot south of B as well. And you're not so far that you're taken completely out of the battle at sea cap, and also not so far that you can't turn around and run away if the enemy pushes hard up the, say, 1-2 line or something like that. So it gives you plenty of time and room to maneuver to turn back around again. So Charlie 5, pretty strong position early on for battleships. And, okay, Cosmos is here. Cosmos, you missed it. You were picked earlier, but you snoozed and you loosed. Kitten had to pick somebody else. Sorry about that. But hey, good to see you. Thanks for sticking around. The other place that I like to see battleships early on is probably going to be Charlie 7 or 8. Similar reasoning. You have the ability to kite away if you need to. You've also got the ability to maybe influence a little bit what happens south of B cap, depending on what kind of battleship you're in. There you go. Have I forgotten anything up in the north, on the north side? Hey, Game Prodigy.
I don't think you have.
I don't think so either.
I would say, as a counterpoint to the splitting up your battleships, recently, at least kind of the meta has turned into, there are a lot of double battleship pushes. Not everybody's doing it, but I know I've seen enough of it that it's a notable thing. Although not potentially on this map. This tends to be the one you still split up, but I've seen a lot of double battleships on one side now.
Okay, and what battleships are you seeing doing these pushes?
You can probably guess.
Colombo would be one, and Kremlin would be the other?
I've seen one. It's not common. Ohio is like mandatory everywhere. You see Kremlins a lot. Schlieffen, as of this weekend, I think is a thing. I missed playing.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Burgoynes have actually been fairly popular, too.
Okay. So that's something to keep in mind. If you see a Schlieffen, you might be thinking or a Burgoyne, there might be a double battleship. And I think that makes it even more important when you send your destroyers out initially to spot things. The destroyer north of sea needs to be as far east as possible early on to try to spot south. And then the destroyer that goes to A, man, it almost sounds like it'd be better for them to go middle then, just to get the idea of where the enemy battleships are. But it's hard because Schlieffen has really good concealment, doesn't it?
Yes.
So chances are you're probably not going to see the Schlieffen unless he opens up his guns. In which case, you might want to sacrifice a sacrificial cruiser to start shooting earlier just to get detected. Hey, SF. Thank you, SF, for 12.5 kilometer concealment. And hello, Major Payne. All right, South Spawn. South Spawn is mostly similar, with a couple of notable differences. The biggest notable difference, in my opinion, is the island here on the 8 line. Because of this town here, you're going to be forced to play farther away from the action in your spammy cruiser than on the north side of the map. The north side of the map, there's a nice cliff right there that you can just easily back up behind. But in this one, if you get too far forward, it's going to take you a long time to back up, and you're going to get farmed in the process of doing so. It also means that an enemy that goes down the 9-10 line has a better shot at you if you post up here. So this is an extremely dangerous position early on to be in. If you're going to be here in a cruiser, you're going to want to be in a more of a kiting away, angling kind of a deal. You don't want to be stuck bow in here early on. Later, you can move around if you want to. The low level of rocks here is nice in that it allows you to shoot over. You can maybe, depending on where exactly you put your ship, use this little part of the rock here to block line of sight from enemies, which is only good until they push their magic eye win button and radar you. So you have to make that determination if that's something that you want to do. But I see a ton of flanking cruisers that like to sit right here bow out, kiting away position, shooting again at that Salem Des Moines safe spot, because, like I said before, whoever can take out the Des Moines on the other side first has a significant advantage on this side of the map. So, worth considering. I just realized that my Stevie Cam is off. Why is my Stevie Cam off? Weird. Other differences. The Des Moines spot on this island is also kind of different. A little bit more kind of knocked out from the end. There's a spot that you can tuck into on the north, and if I go top down, you can see it a lot easier. That's kind of a dangerous spot to tuck into. I find that the problem with that is it prevents you from reversing. So I would say this is only if you absolutely have to do it to dodge a torpedo or something like that. But once that happens, it's really hard to get yourself out of that situation and back up again on the north side. On the south side, it's a little bit easier to back off simply because of the fact that the tucking area isn't... You don't have this gigantic rock protruding in the back here. That being said, there's that underwater world that'll probably reach out and grab you anyways. So it's up to you how much you want to play up here. But, you know, you're going to have your typical spot. Also, if you notice how flat this island is in the back here, you look at this. I've seen so many cruisers get slapped by backing up too far on this side. You really have to make sure that you're staying farther forward to block a lot of those shells. Rita, thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. And hello, Ibu. I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing? And then from the north side, I'm sure Kitten's going to take care of shouting Rita out. But from the north side, you notice how there's much more land blocking shells and stuff like that come in. So I'd say the north side has an advantage at that spot. So keep being great. Well, thank you, love. You keep being great too. What else is different on this map from the south spawn? This island here, I've seen a lot of ships try to use this island because it's a gigantic rock, but it's a no bueno at the beginning. Later, you can try using that to limit your shells coming in. The island to the south here, I was talking about up to the north on Delta 5, is dangerous. The island to the south here is a little bit safer on Foxtrot 5 because you've got some higher mountaintops or whatnot that you can hide behind. So I can see a Des Moines playing over here, although the shallows here make it a little bit difficult to put your bow forward. And yeah, I mean, there's really... North doesn't play out too much differently on you know, depending on what side you're on. It pretty much... You can put a strategy together and then go, and it doesn't matter if you're north or south. What matters is what the enemy team brings and how you execute your strategy. Anything to add to that, guys?
It's a boring map.
It is a boring map. That is true. I want to also highlight an area that I have purposely not talked about at all, which is the Foxtrot 3-4 island or Echo 3-4 island, depending on if you're north or south. Don't go here. If you're in a cruiser, don't go here early on. These are islands positions that you get in the habit of playing because you play random battles, and they're pretty strong random battle islands because ACAP is, you know, right here. But in clan battles, the problem with posting a cruiser up here early on is it limits your mobility, and it also limits your ability to influence the game because you're just too far away from a lot of the battle. So personally, I would not position a cruiser there early on, and a destroyer either, because a destroyer needs to spot, and when you're up against an island, that island is blocking your ability to spot. So those are some just some considerations there. Ebo, thank you, Ebo EU, for the follow. First time Marine playing World of Warships. I don't know what you mean Marine playing, but And Chris says, no plan survives contact with the enemy anyway, so stick with general ideas, not situation. Absolutely, yes. And then later, it comes down to flexing and how things evolve and stuff like that, so. Well, thank you, Major Payne. Enjoyed me on Wargaming yesterday with my honesty, not agreeing with them on everything, telling you 2 cents worth that many of us agree. Yeah. Captain skills to the way ship should be played. They may have made it, but you mastered it better. I think. Well, thank you, Major Payne. If the truth hurts, well, sometimes it does. So, guys, anything else on this map you want to talk about, ask about? For random battles, really, most of the map is very similar, other than what I talked about with the A cap on the 3-4 island there, and the B cap as well. But there's nothing else really that changes, in my opinion, with North, so. Okay, well, at this point then, thank you for tuning in. Obviously, these videos get posted out to YouTube later, so if you're watching this later on YouTube, please let me know if this has been helpful. I've been seeing a lot of people commenting that these map talks are helping, which is awesome, and I'm very happy to continue doing that. You know, and as maps change and revise, we can revisit them as well, but North has gone through a ton of iterations of changes. It was so different before. It used to be like this middle island here used to be like Northern Lights was. And then there used to be, way back in closed alpha, I'm sure Ted still remembers this. This used to be a big long turd of an island that went like from Gulf 8 all the way up to like Delta 9 or something. It was just massive. So if you decided to go up that way, you were out of the battle for like 5 minutes.
And that's of course why we tell people don't go 9-10 line on this map, or Northern Lights for that matter.
Well, yeah, general strategies I've seen on this map a lot. 9-10 line pushes are, I've seen pretty common actually in clan battles. In randoms, yeah, don't go 9-10 line. But in clan battles and random battles, I've seen, or ranked, I mean, clan and ranked, I've seen a lot of people try to push down the 9-10 line. I've seen a lot of people try to go up the 1-2 line. The problem with 1-2 is you're so far away from the rest of the map for so long. So.
I mean, you do have that gap that leads into around what, Echo Foxtrot 8-9, right? That gap there that leads into Charlie Cap. So that's a potential leverage point, but at the same time, if you poke out there at the wrong points, you leave yourself very vulnerable, regardless of which side you're on.
Absolutely. So, you know, so you just have to, it's a lot of care you just have to put into it, so.
Definitely.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next point. Again, if you're following this on YouTube, make sure you say something if you got to this point, because I have something special planned for later.